Hello children, welcome. Today we are going to read the lesson Textbook Reading Practice of Chapter 3 Fiber to Fabric Part 4. As of now, we have seen two video lessons, completed worksheets and did our reader exercises. Now we are going to read the textbook and underline the important sentences. Your knowledge is not limited. You have to know beyond the reader. This reader reading practice is important for keeping things in your mind for a longer time. So, shall we get started? Come on. Let's read the lesson. Use a pencil to underline important sentences. Lesson 3 Fiber to Fabric. In class 6, you have learnt about some fibers obtained from plants. You also learned that wool and silk fibers are obtained from animals. Please underline from here. Wool is obtained from the fleece, hair of sheep or yak. Did you underline, children? Silk fibers come from cocoon of the silk moth. Do you know which part of the sheep's body yields fibers? Are you aware how these fibers are converted into woolen yarn that we buy from market to knit sweaters? Do you have any idea how silk fibers are made into silk, which is woven into sari? In this chapter, we shall try to find the answers for these questions. 3.1 Wool. Wool comes from sheep, goat, yak and some other animals. These wool-yielding animals bear hair on their body. Do you know why these animals have a thick coat of hair? Please underline, this is very important. Hair trap a lot of air. Air is a poor conductor of heat, as you would learn in chapter 4. So these two sentences are important. Please underline. So hair keeps these animals warm. Wool is derived from these hairy fibers. Activity 3.1. Feel the hair on your body and arms and those on your head. Do you find any difference? Which one seems coarse and which one is soft? So just touch your body and see. The hair is very soft, isn't it? And what about the hair on your head? Yes, you are right. Like us, the hairy skin of the sheep has two types of fibers that form its fleece. Please underline. The coarse beard hair and the fine soft under hair close to the skin. The fine hair provide the fibers for making wool. Some breeds of sheep possess only fine under hair. Their parents are specially chosen to give birth to sheep which have only soft under hair. Please underline, this question is very important. This process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring, such as soft under hair in sheep, is termed selective breeding. Underline, very important, can be asked for 2 more questions. Animals that eat wool. Several breeds of sheep are found in different parts of India. Table 3.1. However, the fleece of sheep is not the only source of wool. The wool commonly available in the market is sheep wool. Yak wool is common in Tibet and Ladakh. Angora wool is obtained from Angora goats, figure 3.5, found in hilly regions such as Jammu and Kashmir. Wool is also obtained from goat hair. The under fur of Kashmiri goat is soft. It is woven into fine shawls called pashmina shawls. The fur, hair on the body of camels is also used as wool. Llama and alpaca found in South America also aid wool. Figure 3.6 and 3.7. Activity 3.2. Collect pictures of animals whose hair is used as wool. Stick them in your scrapbook. If you are unable to get pictures, try and draw them from the ones given in the book. Find out words for sheep, goat, camel, and yak in your local language and also in other languages of a country. So try to find out. Activity 3.3. Procure outline maps of India and the world. Find out and mark the places on the map where you find animals that provide the wool. Use different colors to denote the location of different wool yielding animals. From fiber to wool. For obtaining wool, sheep are reared. Their hair is cut and processed into wool. Let us learn about this process. Rearing and breeding of sheep. If you travel to the hills in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Arunachal Pradesh, and Sikkim, or the plains of Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, and Gujarat, you can see shepherds taking their herds of sheep for grazing. Sheep are herbivorous and prefer grass and leaves. Apart from grazing sheep, rearers also feed them on a mixture of pulses. Please underline corn, jowar, oil cakes. Oil cakes means materials left after taking out oil from seeds and minerals. In winter, sheep are kept indoor and fed on leaves, grains, and dry fodder. Fodder is a special type of food for cattle. Sheep are reared in many parts of a country for wool. Table 3.1 gives the names of some breeds of sheep reared in our country for producing wool. The quality and texture of fiber obtained from them also indicated in the table. Certain breeds of sheep have a thick coat of hair on their body which yields good quality wool in large quantities. So now let's just go through this table. Some Indian breeds of sheep. Names are given, quality of wool, state where formed. Just go through when you are free. Mentioned earlier, these sheep are selectively bred with one parent being a sheep of good breed. Once the reared sheep have developed a thick growth of hair, hair is shaved off for getting wool. Processing fiber into wool. The wool which is used for knitting sweaters or also for for weaving shawls is the finished product of a long process which involves the following steps. So all these steps are important. Step 1. The fleece of the sheep along with a thin layer of skin is removed from its body. This process is called shearing. Please underline. Machines similar to those used by barbers are used to shave off hair. Usually, hair are removed during hot weather. This, please underline, this is very important. This enables sheep to survive without their protective coat of hair. The hair provide woolen fibers. Woolen fibers are then processed to obtain woolen yarn. Shearing does not hurt the sheep, just as it does not hurt when you get a haircut or your father shaves his beard. Do you know why? Please underline. The uppermost layer of the skin is dead. Also, the hair of the sheep grow again just as your hair does. So this point can be asked for give reason. Kindly underline these lines. Step 2. The sheared skin with hair is thoroughly washed in tanks to remove the grease, dust and dirt. This is called scouring. Nowadays, scouring is done by machine. Figure 3.8 B and C. Step 3. After scouring, sorting is done. The hairy skin is sent to a factory where hair of different textures are separated and sorted. Step 4. The small fluffy fibers called the burrs are picked out from the hair. These are the same burrs which sometimes appear on your sweaters. The fibers are scoured again and dried. This is the wool ready to be drawn into fibers. Step 5. The fibers can be dyed in various colors as the natural fleece of sheep and goat is black, brown or white. Step 6. The fibers are straightened, combed and rolled into yarn. Figure 3.8d. The longer fibers are made into wool for sweaters and the shorter fibers are spun and woven into woolen cloth. Now this is the picture that shows the different process. Now occupational hazard. This is very important. Please underline. Wool industry is an important means of livelihood for many people in our country. But sorter's job is risky as sometimes they get infected by a bacterium, anthrax, which cause fatal blood disease called sorter's disease. Such risks faced by workers in any industry are called occupational hazard. Now we'll move on to this cloud. Bujo is wondering why it hurts when someone pulls his hair, but not when he goes for a haircut. Now think and see. Bujo is wondering why a cotton garment cannot keep us warm in winter as a woolen sweater does. Activity 3.4. Debate among your classmates whether it is fair on the part of humans to rear sheep and then chop off their hair for getting wool. Now we move on to 3.2 silk. Silk fiber are also animal fibers. Silkworms spin the silk fibers. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called sericulture. Please underline. It's very important. Find out from your mother, aunt, grandmother the kind of silk saris they have. List the kind of silk. Before we discuss the process of obtaining silk, it is necessary to know the interesting story, life history of silk moth. Life history of silk moth. A female, please underline, silk moth lays eggs from which hatches larvae, which are called caterpillar or silkworm. They grow in size, and when the caterpillar is ready to enter the next stage of its life history, called the pupa, it first weaves a net to hold itself. Then it swings its head from side to side in the form of a figure of 8. During this movement of the head, the caterpillar secretes fiber made of protein which hardens and exposure to air and becomes silk fiber. Soon the caterpillar completely covers itself by silk fiber. This covering is known as cocoon. The further development of the moth continues into a cocoon. Silk fibers are used for weaving silk cloth. Can you imagine the soft silk yarn is as strong as comparable thread of steel? The silk yarn thread is obtained from the cocoon of silk moth. Please underline. There is a variety of silk moth which look very different from one another, and the silk yarn that yield is different in texture, coarse, smooth, shiny, etc. Thus, Tara silk, Munga silk, Kosa silk, etc. are obtained from the cocoons spun by different types of moths. The most common silk moth is the mulberry silk. Silk moth. The silk fiber from the cocoon of the moth is soft, luxurious, and elastic, and can be dyed in beautiful colors. Sericulture or culture of silkworms is a very old occupation in India. India produces plenty of silk on a commercial scale. Activity 3.5. Collect pieces of silk cloth of various types and paste them in your scrapbook. Can you find them in your tailor's shop among the heap of waste cut pieces? Now we'll read this blue box. In India, women are significantly involved in various kinds of industry related to silk production. These are rearing of silkworm, reeling of silk from cocoon, and processing of raw silk into fabrics by their enterprise. They contribute to the nation's economy. China leads the world in silk production. India also ranks among the leading silk producing countries. Activity 3.6. Take an artificial synthetic silk thread and a pure silk thread. Burn these threads carefully. Did you notice any difference in the smell while burning? Now burn a woolen fiber ca- carefully. Did you smell like burning of artificial silk or that of pure silk? Can you explain why? To remember, to remember when the cocoon stage is reached in the life history of silk moth, try the following activity. Activity 3.7. Photocopy figure 3.9. Cut out pieces of stages of life history of silk moth and paste them on piece of cardboard or chart paper. Jumble them. Now try and arrange the stages in the correct sequence. Whoever does it fastest wins. You may also describe the life history in your own words. Write it down in your scrapbook. From cocoon to silk. For obtaining silk moth are reared and their cocoon are collected to get silk thread. Rearing silkworm. Please underline. A female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs at a time. Figure 3.10a. The eggs are stored carefully on strips of cloth or paper and sold to silkworm farmers. The farmers keep eggs under hygienic condition and under suitable conditions of temperature and humidity. The eggs are warmed to a suitable temperature for the larva to hatch from eggs. Please underline. This is done when mulberry trees bear a fresh crop of leaves. Please underline. The larva, called the caterpillar or silkworm, eat day and night and increase enormously in size. Figure 3.10. History of silk. The exact time of discovery of silk is perhaps unknown. According to an old Chinese legend, the Emperor Si Lang Chi was asked by the Emperor Hunganti to find the cause of the damaged leaves of mulberry trees growing in their garden. The Empress found white worms eating up mulberry leaves. She also noticed that they were spinning shiny cocoons around them. Accidentally, a cocoon dropped into her cup of tea, and the tangle of delicate threads separated from the cocoon. Silk industry began in China and was kept as a closely guarded secret for hundreds of years. Later on, traders and travelers introduced silk to other countries. The route they traveled is still called the Silk Route. The worms are kept in clean bamboo trays along with freshly chopped mulberry leaves. After 25 to 30 days, the caterpillars stop eating and move to a tiny chamber of bamboo in the tray to spin cocoon. Figure 3.10. Small racks or string may be provided in the tray to which cocoon get attached. The caterpillar or silkworm spins the cocoon inside, which develops the silk mold. Processing silk. A pile of cocoon is used for obtaining silk fiber. The cocoons are kept under the sun or boiled or exposed to steam. The silk fibers separate out. The process of taking out thread, please underline, from the cocoon for use as silk is called reeling the silk. Reeling is done in special machines which unwind the threads or fibers of silk from the cocoon. Silk fibers are then spun into silk threads, which are woven into silk cloth by weavers. Now let's read this cloud. Peheli wants to know if the cotton thread and silk thread are spun and woven in the same manner. Now let's read the keywords. Cocoon, fleece, reeling, scouring, sericulture, shearing, silkworm, silkworm, sorting. These keywords are important. It's important to know the definition of these keywords also. What we have learned. Silk comes from silkworm and wool from sheep, goat and yak. Hence, silk and wool are animal fibers. The hairs of the hairs of camel, llama and alpaca are also processed to yield wool. In India, mostly sheep are rare for getting wool. Sheep hair is sheared off from the body, scoured, sorted, dried, dyed, spun and woven to yield wool. Silkworms are caterpillars of silk moth. During their life cycle, the worms spin cocoon of silk fibers. Silk fibers are made of protein. Silk fibers from cocoon are taken out and reeled into silk threads. Weavers weave threads into silk cloth. So we have completed reading the lesson and we have completed reading the important points in this lesson. Okay, children, thank you.